One.
Hey guys, welcome viewers and listeners to this second part of our conversation. I'm Yann W. Tanoé, founder of the Open magazine concept and also the publisher. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. It came, it arrived, it's published, it's out there from Amazon. So let me plug that in first. So I'm joined with my assistant editor, Daniel.
Hello.
And our two columnist extraordinaires, Jasryan and Rhys Holloway, who's also a cover boy. Yes, flash it again. Yes, cover boy. Exactly. Love it. Okay, so today we're coming together just to discuss a little bit about the articles. What was Danny's got some specific questions for us, and we'll also discuss our inspiration as to why we chose this. Very simple. So without further ado, over to Danny. Take it away.
Yes, so my first question is to you, Yann, actually. So in your article, Open Door to Open Thoughts, you speak pretty fondly about your father and how his tenderness and his work ethics really supported you in becoming who you are today. So I'm just really wondering, how is that? Because from my experience of from other men, a lot of their mental health issues comes from when they're young, having emotions squashed and, suppressed, and, men have to be men and boys don't cry. Whereas it sounds like you didn't actually have that. So I'm wondering, do you feel that's affected you differently, maybe?
Interesting. And, I love talking about my father, especially at this time when I'm doing lots of different things to do with men, because I think it's important for me to do that, to show that not all men are the same. Because as you can see, there's this kind of perception that, dads are supposed to tell their son, oh, get up and man up and all this. I don't think I necessarily have that. I don't have that in my recollection. Maybe my dad said that a couple of times. I don't know, but I don't remember that. Yeah. But I remember my dad was being the tender one, the one that used to, come here, baby, give me a hug, stroke, put me to bed, Between my parents, it was quite an interesting mix. So my mom was disciplinarian. Mm-hmm. Okay, and obviously as I got older, she became a best friend. So she had to be the disciplinarian in the beginning. And my dad was a nice guy, good cop, bad cop combination. And so the way that this has affected me is that it's given me a lot of self-assurance as a man. It enabled me to be in touch with my emotions, because I didn't get reproached for having certain emotions. And I have to say that I'm quite similar to my dad in a lot of respect, because my dad has never been like your typical macho man that loves football and loves this. I hate football to this day. Yeah, my dad doesn't like it. We don't, it's not something that we sit down and bond over. We bond over a nice conversation and talk about music. My dad's a big Elvis fan, he loves music. I'm a musical person, and this is how it's work. And I feel like it's been a very, that example is something that's really stayed with me. And I've been able to kind of start imparting it to my son as well. So it does exist. It does exist out there that men are nurturing and in turn create very, very good, healthy and wholesome men.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Amazing. I think, but actually you've had a balance with your mum as well, actually, because it sounds like she actually gave you that drive and that focus as well. But yeah, good, healthy balance. Thank you. Okay, my next question is to Rhys. So in your article, Byproduct of Broken Borders, you talk about your eclectic ethnicity. So I'm just wondering about, out of all these bloodlines and all these amazing cultures you belong to, what is there anything out there that within you that actually helps you with your, say, mental health or your spirituality, that sort of helps you on your path? Is there anything that you specifically cling to almost?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me growing up, coming from lots of different backgrounds and surrounded by so many people from different cultures, family and friends and family friends and all that sort of thing, it was always kind of initially, I'd say, a challenge for me to really find my identity and, okay, where do I stand? If I associated more with one side of my cultural background, I'd then find that the people that, weren't mixed, that were from that background, would then see me as, not like them, because I'm not like them, if that makes sense. So that was always a struggle growing up. And so I think as I started to grow, I found that the different cultures I were around ended up influencing me to kind of have like a bigger perspective on how I see myself and also how I see other people. And that's kind of part of what I write about in my article. But one of the biggest things for me that really transformed how I see myself and helped me to process my own mental health, know who I am as a man, but also just as a human being, was my discovery of Christianity and Christian culture, which was something I had no involvement with growing up. But as I began to grow and ask more questions and find it for myself, I saw eventually I found like a group of men who were all from all kinds of different backgrounds, but had this same sturdiness to them, and that you know, and that culture really then was able to shape me and readjust what I knew about myself, but also what I thought about Christians, what I thought about men and everything. So that's been one of my biggest drives, I'd say.
Wow, and you didn't have that growing up then, you say?
Yeah, no. So no, most of my family are either atheists or kind of on the fence people, or, you know, so that was kind of my viewpoint until a certain age.
But I guess that, I mean, that just shows to me, like, you know, that how you've had so much involvement in so many different cultures. Actually, it's really given you such an, you know, an authority and autonomy in who you are, and actually to be able to think for yourself and actually
definitely
be your true authentic self, which is, you know, and go out there and find your own path, which is really amazing. Awesome.
Definitely. No, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. My last question is to Jasryan. So in your article, The Men's Circle, Redefining Our Roles. So you've travelled, by the look of it, quite a lot, extensively, and you're only young still. I'm wondering, you must have met quite a lot of interesting men out there. I was just wondering if there's specifically any males role models that you can talk of, anyone who's inspired you at all on your path?
Okay, interesting question. So there's a lot of people that I've met along my travels, and they've all inspired me in different ways. There isn't someone that like stands out as a single person that like would be a role model for me, but there are like elements of different people. Because also whilst meeting people whilst traveling, they're more likely to be different to you background wise, and so you can always understand that like they are the way they are because of their collective history and their experiences and that comes together. So it's hard to find someone that I can like completely feel like, whoa, okay, like you've had a similar path to me, and you've had a similar kind of lens to look at the world. And so given that the choices that you make, okay, cool, like I can relate to it. So it's it is hard for me to pick out one person, but there's a couple of traits that I've really liked that I've seen, and there's a couple of things that I've kind of been able to filter out in terms of, yes, that's acceptable for me in the way I want to live my life, and actually that's not. And that comes from being able to see different people in different environments and being able to like kind of be an observer and see myself in those people. So a couple of things that on my most recent trip is that like not to be ashamed of like being spiritual. I think like when I was younger, like because my family are Indian, and we like I was raised kind of in a Sikh background, but not like fully devoted. But I felt like at school I was surrounded by mostly white British people, so I felt like, I don't know, it made me a bit of an outsider, and that made me kind of reject that side of myself in order to fit in easier. And I think a lot of people have this, and like now I've realized that actually I found it so beautiful when I can see someone who is spiritual and they're proud of it and they are connected to themselves in whatever way, like whatever religion, whether it's Buddhist, whether it's Sikh, whether it's like Islam or Christianity. Like I think that is something that, you know, I've kind of took in and been like, yeah, okay, cool. You know what? I'm going to show that side of myself. And if people want to know more, they can ask me. And if they don't, then that's fine.
Yeah.
And also one other thing that has been interesting for me to kind of adopt is accepting like the femininity in myself, and also try not to be ashamed of that. So I've got a lot of women in my family, like a lot, like pretty much everyone is, you know, my grandma had like 4 daughters, and like my sisters and my cousins. And so I've always been surrounded by women and feminine energy. And so that's always been like a comfortable place for me. And I think just trying to be a man and trying to be a boy and trying to fit in has always been like an effort for me in some ways, because naturally I would, I don't know, be more nurturing and be like softer and more open to my emotions and things like that. So meeting people out there, I say in the world, just whilst I'm traveling, who are fully embracing that, but also balancing their masculine side. And I just found that so incredible. And I was like, like, you know what, if I want to express my feminine energy, I'm going to do it, because that's me. So or just accepting all the parts of myself, really.
And I guess, you know, that's why you know, that's why you're a columnist for this magazine, because this magazine is all about, you know, embracing all the types of masculinity out there, which is, you know, there's such a vast array, you know, there's such a big spectrum of what masculine and what it is to be a man. And that's in this, you know, in our new age that we're in, I guess it's, you know, that's why this magazine has manifested, really, isn't it? Because we're looking at me, you, all of you guys, we're all very different, yet we're all men, we're all on that array of what is masculine, and that's what we're all trying to figure out, I guess, on this journey on, you know, on life. So
Absolutely.
Hence why we got this open door out now.
And that's it. That's the reason why, you know, that was my vision altogether, you know, to be able to celebrate different versions of masculinity. You know, I'm straight, you know, there's different sexualities, but there's a lot of different things that we have in common, you know, as you can see, you know, and that's what I want to celebrate, what we have in common, not necessarily the things that, you know,
like we share a birthday.
You know. And so that leads me to the next kind of topic. So what I wanted to ask everybody, you know, is kind of, I want to get to the perspective, the background, because this is what this magazine is about. This is what the publishing house is about. Everything that I do is about celebrating perspectives. So what was your inspiration for choosing that subject? Because obviously when I approached you guys to write, it was choose your topic. I'm never going to tell you what to write. I want people to have that creative license to do that. So why did you choose that specific topic? And I'll direct that to Rhys first.
Yeah, definitely. For me, it was quite a challenge at first to kind of think that has so many things I could write about, you know, like literally the sky's the limit. But I think one of the things that I've been dealing with like my whole life, but even more over the past, like, you know, I'd say like year or so, was just really challenging my ethnic identity and how do I see myself, you know. And I think a lot of the family I grew up with on like a very regular basis were a part of my family that were white British, and for them, who don't necessarily, like, you know, specific to my family, didn't necessarily have anything that expressed like culture in a way that was, I don't know how to say it, but, you know, it wasn't something of some sort of deep substance that, you know. So for me, when I had these concerns about, okay, I feel different to you guys, but, you know, because there's more to me than this, and but I'm struggling with it. And so for me, it was something that no one really had the same experience, you know, that I knew of as me. And even I had other mixed race friends, but most of them, if not all of them, were all, you know, either their parents were black and their you know, one was white, one was black, or the other way around. And so even next to them, I still felt slightly out of the loop, because I not only is my mum mixed ethnically and whatever, but so is my dad. And so the reason for me writing this article was part for me of just a discovery of what I've found and the conclusion I came to is just that at the end of the day, as much as I value all of my different backgrounds and sources of culture and whatever, that at the end of the day, it doesn't actually define who I was as a man. And so that wasn't something, it might seem obvious to a lot of readers that that's the case, but it took me that extra deep thought and questioning. And I kind of wanted to bring the readers along that process with me. And, you know, whether you're mixed yourself or where in terms of ethnically, or whether you have a certain straight lineage, you know, it's, I think embracing not only your own culture, but then other cultures and finding so many rich parts of life that come from something outside of yourself has really caused me in such a short amount of time to mature in who I am. And that's, I guess, part of why I wrote what I wrote.
Absolutely. You know, that's so beautiful. Yeah, there is. And it's beautiful because as you were saying this, what I was picturing was you now as early 20s. And I'm thinking of you in like 10 years, 15 years, and just how the growth will come. The fact that already you're just so mature in the way that you're kind of you're handling this and you're taking this and pulling it apart and exploring it. It's a lifelong process. You know, different things are going to cause you to come back and question things. You never quite get to that place. It's always shifting. And to me, that's a very beautiful thing. But it's a journey. You know? Yeah, that's what I love about what you've written. Thank you so much for these thoughts. So the next person that I want to go to is Daniel. Daniel, so your article, as I've highlighted, a bit the most provocative article of all, okay, which has made a lot of readers think, "Oh, I want to read this," because it's very it's like sacred sexuality. Well, what is this all about? So Daniel, tell us a little bit about your perspective.
So yeah, I mean, I guess it's to combat other men's magazines where it's all about what position's best for the week kind of thing. Which pills give you the longer night. So basically, I think my article sprang from, so I have, I go to many different groups, I belong to different, forums and stuff like that. And a lot of pagan and New Age spirituality, a lot of it's based on sort of the new divine feminine, goddess worshipping and lineages and stuff like that. A lot of my work as a healer, as a shaman and pagan, there is a balance between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. There's sacredness and everything. What I was noticing is there was a real beauty in the feminine, like, the vessel, the holy yoni. There was so much about the sexuality of women is really empowering and it's really beautiful, and this is needed, massively needed because of the suppression of women for eons, really, isn't it? Let's face it, it's a real wound, really. And I'm seeing all this as how wonderful it is that it's growing, all this amazing work that's being done, but actually the real work needs to be done on us men, because actually there is a problem in the world today. There's it's most extreme, this sort of wounded toxic masculinity that's going on. There is the rape culture, there is this, there's porn obsession. Do you know what I mean? There's the real separation between sex and our bodies. Yes. And it comes from the wounds of the masculine as well. So, it comes from the fact that we aren't allowed to be sensual, we're not allowed to be emotional because men don't cry and all this thing. All those things have created this wounding that's happened. And so I really was looking, well, where is the sacredness in male sexuality? Mm-hmm. So I really went on a journey through different spiritual paths just to look for it, to see where's that beauty and sensuality and sexuality for men. So yeah, that was basically what my journey is about. I also interviewed quite a lot of people about it, asking the question, can men's sexuality be sacred? There's a real distinct difference in men specifically, and also between men and women, so that's men and women as well, the opinions. And yeah, it was interesting. Some of it was quite obvious. Some of the answers were obvious, and some of them were quite surprising, actually. Yeah, and you know, I just think it was, you know, the problems we're having at the moment, the problems we're facing in today's world with a very masculine-dominated world. You know, it's all. This is why this magazine is here. You know, it's the new conscious man. That's what we need. You know, and actually part of who we are is sexuality. You know, there is a sexual element to men. You know, we know this, but we need to think of it differently. It needs to come from a different place, not from a place of wounding. It needs to come from a place of joy and love and pleasure and sacredness, actually.
It's fantastic, a fantastic subject to approach, and something that, yes, people would not have thought of like this, you know. But I really can't wait. I've got a few little feedback from the articles, and yours was one of them. And I think a lot of men that have read it really felt like, you know, these are things that they never considered. So
yeah,
that was definitely needed. I hope that there's a through sometime. Part two. Really good. Have you just for that column. But thank you so much for those thoughts. And so last but not least, Jasryan, so what was your perspective in writing about the men's circle? Because I know that when we were talking, you know, there were so many different things, you know, it was like, oh, we could, and then you mentioned that you went to the men's circle, and I thought, oh, that's it, because that's such a fantastic concept. So tell us a little bit about your perspective.
Hey, I really love the layout, by the way. Thanks, guys.
Thanks to Kuzmin.
Yes. Yeah, like I was talking with you, Yann, about so many different options. I was like, I could write about this, I could write about that. And then, yeah, like you said, I mentioned that I was going to the men's circle. And after I'd been to the men's circle, I was like, perfect, this is exactly what I want to write about. So, I mean, like, you'll read about it if you read the magazine, which you definitely should do. But yeah, I think this is something that, like, I hope a lot of people will start to get involved with. Like, you can have circles virtually. Like, I've been continuing my circles virtually, and it's been really amazing. It's just having that intimate time with other men, and most likely they're going to be strangers the first time you meet them or see them on Zoom. But yeah, it's just having those intimate conversations and just learning to, like, open yourself up to talking about what you're going through and listening to each other. And it's just really beautiful. And I'm really glad that I wrote about it so that I could hopefully inspire other people to join their own circles. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's brilliant, because as Danny and I, we've been talking, we just kind of thought that this whole magazine was actually a big men's circle. You know, that's what it basically is. You know, it's the same thing. People that don't know each other. My dream is that we all get together, you know, as columnists, and we actually get to know each other. Because actually, I just remembered you two, these two boys, Rhys and Jasryan, were actually models for my clothing collection.
Yeah.
About 4 or 5 years ago. That's how I've run into them. So they kind of, I'm sure they knew each other from the backstage, you know. Yeah. And you know, yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And so, you know, but the others, we don't know each other. But you know, as it's been expressed to me by readers already, it felt like everybody knew each other, and it was like a continuity. It was like everyone was telling a story, that, like, a narrative that felt that fitted into a big story in the magazine. And I just thought, you know what, the vision has been achieved, okay? And so, you know, coming back to what I wrote in mine, when I said that we're going through a renaissance, masculinity is going through a renaissance where everybody is coming out of the woodwork. Narratives that would never have been heard of or even allowed to be spoken of, you know, 50 years ago, are able to come out today. And we're able to get so many different varied versions of masculinity. And so my aim is to sit everybody down at the same table and to see what the differences are. to see what the commonalities are, and to rewrite that definition of masculinity together. Okay, not just have one group like it's been the whole time that was writing the rules. Okay, because that's what it's been like. There was one group of men that were the VIP, if you want. That's where I see it. To get into the group, you must like sports. Okay, you must be a womanizer. Well, I'm just generalizing. You must drink. You must all that kind of stuff. Who wrote these rules? Did they consult with me? Did they consult with you? No, they didn't. And I think it's important for us to come together now and do this. And that's why I love the concept for this magazine. So to you viewers and listeners, the magazine's out now. It's on Amazon. It's a must read. $4.99 for the paper copy, $3.99 for the Kindle. And like I said, that's a modest price for the value that it brings. Honestly, you cannot put a price on these people's narratives. And so, join us. We're going to do these kind of segments quite regularly where we will come together and talk about different issues. And also join our, we're starting our WhatsApp community in the next week or two. And check out our Instagram account at Open Door Men's Mag. There will be a post that indicates what you can do to join us, or just DM us if you're interested in joining, so that we can start our own men's circle and our own fraternity in that sense. So guys, thank you so much for joining me today and for discussing your fantastic articles. And so until next time, you take care, and yeah, we'll be preparing some fantastic content for you guys. Okay, so thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.